Hello.
Hello, Nana.
Hello.
Hold on. I'll get us all in
Hi,
here.
Elliot.
Just being there.
Welcome here. How are you today?
I'm not in.
Here, we all gotta get in
Yeah.
here.
Squeeze,
Okay.
squeeze,
Okay.
squeeze.
Maybe I can turn my volume up a little bit so I can hear you better. Okay.
Great. Thanks for joining us here, Nana.
That's my pleasure. I'm glad to see. If you have any questions along the way, you just tell me. I
Yeah.
guess you know what it was like back before and after World War II. So I was 15 years old. I was in high school, and I didn't really pay too much attention to what was going on in the world. There wasn't any television. There wasn't any internet. There wasn't. We would have a current events, they called it, at school, and we knew there was a bad man in Italy. His name was Mussolini, and there was a bad man in Germany. He was Hitler. And other than that, we didn't pay too much attention as a teenager. I'm sure my parents did. Okay, it was December 7th, 1941. And the thing that we were doing as teenagers, on Sunday afternoon, we'd go to movies. So I was in the movie. Halfway through the movie, they stopped the movie and said that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. They stopped it, and I had to go home. So my parents, of course, were really, really upset. Life changed almost immediately after that. Um, there wasn't, they started rationing everything. There wasn't any gasoline. There wasn't any meat. There wasn't any shoes. You had to have a coupon for all of these things. Sugar, what else? Well, almost everything that you needed for every day was rationed because they had to send it to this armed services for the soldiers. The boys that were my age, as they turned 16, a lot of them went and enlisted in the Navy. And then as soon as they were 18, they got drafted into the Army. So during those years, most of the young men were gone from home. So it was different. We didn't have any gas, so you couldn't drive your car. There weren't any new cars. Uh, well, anyway, it was different. We lived in a little town, so we didn't experience the blackouts that they had in the cities. But in the cities, they had to, as soon as it got dark, pull the shades down so that there couldn't be any light. They were afraid that maybe they would bomb our country, and the lights from the sky into the sky would show them where to put the bombs. So that didn't happen where I lived. Um, I can't think what else it is you would like to know about that. The rationing was, you, even shoes, you'd only get one coupon a year to buy one pair of shoes. So you only got one pair of shoes a year. So that was part of that. Um, when I went away to college, was then several years later. The war was going on all these times, and life went on. You kind of adjusted to it. You adjusted to not taking your car out of the garage just to go for a drive or whatever, and the kids went on and had their get-togethers and dances and things like that. So life did go on, but then when I went away to school, I had to take my coupons with me because my meat and, oh, I was going to tell you, there wasn't any butter. The butter all of it went to the army, so all there was this white oleo. It was like margarine like, and they would give you a little button with coloring in it, and you could knead it in there to make it colored if you want it, but it didn't change the taste any at all. So anyway, then they later they started making it yellow, so it was seemed more like bird. Um, let's see. Okay. Then, when I went way to college, there were some. The war was starting to end, and the good thing about the war was they did pay for anybody who had been in the service to go to college. So there were a lot of young men coming back from the service uh, that were going to college on what they called the GI Bill. So that was a good thing. So, what else would you like to know?
How old were you when the war ended?
19, let's see, it ended in 45, 45, didn't it?
Mhm.
I think so. I think I was like a sophomore in college. So,
So you knew Grandpa by that point, obviously.
I'm sorry?
You knew Grandpa by that point.
Oh, yeah. By then I knew Grandpa, yeah.
And how did he feel about
Right.
not being able to go to war? He wasn't able to, right? Because of some kind of condition?
Yeah, right. He went with a group of his buddies to enlist in the Navy when he was, well, right after graduation, day after graduation from high school. And they wouldn't, he had one of those heart spells while he was there. And of course, they wouldn't take him. Then he was drafted and went again. And the same thing, they wouldn't take him. So, yeah, no, he didn't have to go to the service. But a lot of, and there were a lot of young men who never came back.
How did Grandpa feel about that, not being able to go?
I think he never really talked about it. He wanted to go because all of his friends were going, but he never really talked about it. So I don't know how he felt about it. So it was.
I want to know if any girls fought in the war.
I'm sure there were nurses. I had a friend later in life that I met who had been a nurse, and she had been in the Philippines when the Japanese invaded the Philippines. So she was, yeah, were women in the war. They didn't do combat. They didn't fight, with guns, but they would drive and they would do things like that. So,
do you
secretarial
remember
work.
ever feeling in danger?
No, we not where we lived in the middle of the country. I think the people who maybe lived in New York and then in Los Angeles, they might have felt danger. There were occasions, I understand later from history, that the U-boats had come close, and so yes, there. I'm sure those people did, and they had like civil service people that patrolled the streets at night to make sure everybody had their lights out. So, but in this small town where I lived, they didn't have to do that because it was. We probably didn't even have any street lights. I don't remember. So.
Do you remember where you were and how you felt when you heard the war was over?
Yeah. There were two wars, and I remember the one was in August of, let's see, what was it? I'm at 44, probably from 45. And I don't know, 44 or 45. Anyway, yes, everybody was shouting and riding up and down the street in cars and shooting off their shotguns. And that was in the summer. And then the other war ended in, I'm not sure exactly when it was, but that was later. So I've forgotten my history.
Yeah, the Germany fell first and Japan second.
Yeah, right. So.
Do you remember anything about where you were when we dropped the atomic bombs?
Well, no, that was probably the one that was in the summertime, wasn't it? Yeah, so that would have been in August. So I was at home from school and working. Yeah.
That was the second time time people had ever tried to attack the mainland of Japan. Because the first time someone from China, I believe, tried to attack them with a wave of ships, but they failed, and Japan thought they had been saved by Sacred Wind, a kamikaze. So that's why they
Oh,
did bonsai attacks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know that story, but the Japanese and the Chinese have been fighting for hundreds and hundreds of years.
How?
I don't know what the
Yes, we've
what
got
the
our young
relation.
historian here. How was life different after the final war in Japan ended?
I think the work, and of course that's what they call the golden years. You know, there were lots of babies born, and everybody had a job, and they started earning money, and it was good times. So that's when your mom was born, and your aunts, and we didn't have much money, but we had made our own entertainment, and yeah, it was good times to remember.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to record some of our thoughts and experiences as we go through these unprecedented times of their young lives. I think Elliot will probably, if she remembers anything, will just remember it as this great time where we got to play a lot. But these guys, I think, certainly are going to remember it, and so I think it's interesting to hear from other people that lived through
Yeah.
unprecedented times. So we appreciate you taking the time to share with us.
Well, and now we've got television and all those things where you get your information right away. Back in the 40s, you didn't get your information only maybe on the radio, and then it was maybe distorted. And I think it's interesting. I didn't know until many years later that Franklin Roosevelt was crippled. I
Yeah.
mean, that just boggled my mind because I'd never seen it. Nobody ever saw. Well, I guess some people did, but I never saw a picture of him except when he was either standing or sitting. So
Yeah.
it was. I hadn't realized that he was crippled.
Yeah.
So
What does crimble?
He wasn't. He didn't walk. He was in a wheelchair, but
he
they
couldn't
never
walk.
showed pictures.
He had polio. He'd had polio, hadn't he? I
It was
think.
polio, yeah. And so
Yeah.
he could stand up. He had leg braces, and so they would take him and they would stand him up, and then they'd have the cameras, and they would never take pictures of him in a wheelchair. So people like Nana didn't even know that he didn't walk. So we know too much these days.
That's why I don't like the news. The news is bad. Unless it says coronavirus has ended, then I'll watch it.
Well, anyway, Nana, thank you for sharing your story with us, and
Well,
really appreciate
you're
your
most
time.
welcome. I don't know that I gave you anything very that you'll be able to use in later life, except be thankful for the things that you have.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to take away from this all. So
Yeah. So enjoy your school.
we're getting towards the end of our day here, but
My friends were quite impressed when I told them I was speaking at the Cornish school this afternoon.
the Cornish Academy.
That was probably my favorite part of my day because I love stories.
Oh, well, good. I'll look forward to seeing you this summer.
Yes, indeed. Love you,
Yeah.
Gigi.
You